Ladies, kiss him in these 5 places, and he'll never forget you. Most women never ask, but maybe they should, where does a man want to be kissed when the mask drops, the house is quiet, and he's tired of acting like he doesn't need affection? Hi, it's Vernon again. I will walk with you through 5 places men secretly long to be kissed, places they may never speak of, but never forget. These aren't tricks. They're not tactics. They're quiet offerings, small gestures that say more than words ever could. After 60, he won't say it out loud, but the silence says everything. It's not just about being alone. It's about being unseen, about going years without feeling truly touched, not just on the skin, but in the soul. He's not looking to be teased. He doesn't need to be dazzled. What he needs is simple and rare. A kiss that says, "I see you." A touch that says, "You still matter." Not performance, proof. Because the body may slow down, but the need to feel wanted doesn't fade. It sharpens, it aches, and it waits for someone who knows where to kiss and why it matters. So, if you've ever wondered how to reach deeper, how to leave a mark not just on his skin, but on his sense of self, stay with me. And if this feels like something your heart already knew, don't hesitate to subscribe to my channel for weekly wisdom and relationship after 60 tips. It might just be the truth you needed to remember. The neck, where control softens into closeness. The neck is where an older man carries the weight of composure. You may not notice it at first, the way his shoulders stay squared, the way his jaw stays tight. But just beneath that, right at the base of the neck, is the place where all that restraint starts to crack. This isn't just a spot on the body, it's a threshold. It's where strength gives way to softness, if you let it, and if he lets you. The neck is vulnerable by design. It protects the most vital lines of breath and blood. Evolution taught us to guard it, and so we do. Especially men. Especially those who've lived long enough to learn how the world asks them to be strong, even when they're tired, silent, even when they're breaking. That's why a kiss on the neck is different. It's not just touch, it's permission. According to a 2021 study from the Kinsey Institute, older men respond more deeply to touch that is slow, gentle, and located in areas associated with vulnerability, like the neck and upper chest. These touches are shown to increase oxytocin, a hormone tied to emotional safety and trust, more effectively than overtly sexual gestures. That means this kind of kiss doesn't just feel good, it restores something. It tells him he's safe, that he can let go, that he doesn't have to be the man in that moment. He can just be himself. And the beauty is, it doesn't need to be dramatic. A quiet kiss, just under the ear. A slow brush of lips down the side of his neck. No rush, no agenda, just presence. It reminds him that he can stop holding his breath, that someone sees the tension and chooses to meet it with care. A kiss on the neck is not about seduction, it's about surrender. Not his, but yours. Your willingness to meet him where he is most human, where the armor thins, where the heartbeat is closest to the surface. That's the kind of kiss he remembers, not because it was bold, but because it met him exactly where he needed to be met. And now we turn to another place that speaks through silence, the jawline. 2. The jawline, where pride meets tenderness. Have you ever looked at a man and wondered how much he holds in? How much pressure sits behind his stillness? How many unshed words are tucked behind a firm smile? The jawline is where it shows, not in what he says, but in what he tightens to keep from saying. It's the hinge of restraint, of composure, of silent pride, and it's also the place that softens first, when he feels safe. To kiss a man there is not to claim him. It's to tell him, without words, that he doesn't need to carry it all, that even the strongest parts of him deserve softness, that you notice the weight, and you're not afraid of it. Philosopher Seneca once wrote, "Sometimes, even to live is an act of courage." That courage shows up in places like the jaw, clenched from decades of swallowing emotion, staying composed, being the rock. A kiss along that line, it interrupts the pattern. It says, "You don't have to brace yourself with me." And here's something to reflect on. When was the last time someone kissed you, not to take something, but to give you back a piece of yourself? A quiet moment of grace, a breath you didn't know you were holding. If you've ever received a kiss like that, share what it meant to you in the comments. Your words might speak to someone who's been waiting to feel the same. The jawline is often overlooked, mistaken for strength only. But strength doesn't mean numb. Strength doesn't mean untouched. In fact, it's often the strongest men who long the most for permission to soften, just for a moment. And that's what this kind of kiss offers. Not escape, but relief. Not everything needs to be spoken to be understood. Some things are only heard in the language of gentle contact. And when that moment passes, he may not say a word, but something in him will shift. Not because he's been kissed, but because he's been seen. And sometimes that's all it takes to begin undoing years of silence. Let's follow that thread further. 3. The hands, where action becomes affection. His hands say more about him than his words ever could. They carry stories of what he's built, what he's lost, and what he's held on to long after it stopped being easy. And for a man over 60, those hands often do more showing than speaking. I remember one evening I was sitting alone, looking at my hands resting on the table. They looked different to me that night. Older, worn, but not weak. These were the hands that had held my children, that had carried burdens I never spoke of, that had reached for comfort even when pride told me not to. And I realized something. No one had kissed them in years. It seems small, doesn't it? But in that silence, I could feel it. The ache not for attention, but for recognition. For someone to look at what I've given and say, I see it, I value it, I cherish it.
And that's what a kiss on the hands can do. It's not romantic in the usual sense. It's reverent. It honors the doing, the effort, the quiet sacrifices. It touches something beyond the body, the identity of the giver. Philosopher Albert Schweitzer once said, "Sometimes our light goes out, but is blown again into flame by an encounter with another human being. That flame? Sometimes it reignites not through words, but through something as gentle and profound as a kiss on a hand that thought it had been forgotten." So let me ask you, when was the last time you truly noticed the hands of the man you love? Not for what they do, but for what they've carried. It's a question worth sitting with. Because when you kiss his hands, you're not just reaching for him. You're reminding him of every part of himself that still matters. From the strength he shows to the softness he rarely lets surface, every part of him holds a story worth honoring. And some stories are best heard in silence. Which brings us to a place few think to kiss, yet one that speaks volumes: the forehead.
4. The forehead, where stillness becomes safety. Think of the forehead as a windowsill at dusk, quiet, still, and bathed in the soft light of everything unsaid. It's not where desire burns, it's where trust rests. To kiss a man on the forehead is to tell him that he doesn't need to perform, protect, or prove. It's a gesture so subtle that its meaning often escapes those who haven't lived long enough to understand its weight. Because in that small, reverent space between your lips and his skin is the message, "You can let go now. You're safe here." Unlike other parts of the body, the forehead holds no pretense. It's not chased after, it's not polished, it simply exists, open and honest. Which is why, for many men, a forehead kiss lands deeper than one to the lips. It's not a spark, it's a grounding, a reminder that he is still worthy of affection that asks for nothing in return. Research from the Touch Research Institute at the University of Miami has shown that affectionate, non-sexual touch in the form of forehead kisses and gentle cradling can reduce cortisol levels, slow heart rate, and trigger a parasympathetic response, the body's signal for safety and calm. This isn't sentimentality. It's biology reinforcing what love already knows. And perhaps that's the point. The forehead is where emotion becomes regulation, where worry settles, where affection says, "I'm not here to take, I'm here to be with you." So much of a man's life is spent bracing for responsibility, for conflict, for loss. But in that moment, forehead resting against your lips, something shifts. He returns, not to youth, but to ease, not to romance, but to rest. And sometimes rest is the greatest intimacy we can offer, a quiet return to the self, made possible by the gentlest presence. And just beyond that stillness lies one last place where closeness speaks without sound, his chest. 5. The chest, where emotion finds a home. A man's chest is not just muscle and breath, it's memory. It's where joy has echoed, where grief has sunk deep, and where silence has often done the talking. This is where the emotional and the physical come closest to touching. And it's where intimacy, when offered gently, finds its most natural place to land. I remember a moment, quiet, simple. I was lying back in my old chair after a long day, and someone I loved rested her head gently against my chest. No words, no plans, just wait. And in that stillness, I realized something. This part of me, the part that had held others for so long, had forgotten what it felt like to be held. That's what a kiss to the chest does. It's not a call for passion. It's a recognition of presence. A silent way of saying, I know where you've been. I feel what you carry, and I'm not afraid to be near it. This space over the heart holds more than blood. It holds what men rarely speak aloud, the losses that linger, the hopes they still quietly tend to. Philosopher Rainer Maria Rilke once said, "The only journey is the one within." And for many men, that inward journey is carried not in their thoughts, but right here in the chest. To kiss a man there is to meet him at the intersection of strength and ache. It's to press into the place where his past lives, and where his longing to be understood still waits. And here's what's worth remembering. For a man who spent decades holding everything together, the family, the finances, the fears, a simple kiss to the chest can feel like a homecoming. Not to a place, but to a feeling he didn't know he'd lost. Because sometimes the strongest thing you can do for someone isn't to fix their pain. It's to rest your hand, your lips, your love on it and stay. Across these 5 quiet places, the neck, the jawline, the hands, the forehead, the chest, we haven't just talked about where to kiss a man. We've spoken about something deeper, where men still carry their need to be seen, to be softened, to be loved without condition. Each place revealed something different, where control hides, where pride clenches, where action speaks louder than words, where safety settles, and where memory breathes. But together, they form a map, not of anatomy, but of intimacy, a way back to what matters when the noise fades and life asks us to love not harder, but gentler. The truth is, after 60, love changes. It doesn't burn brighter, it burns steadier. It moves from grand gestures to quiet presence, from fireworks to firelight. And in that stillness, small things become sacred. A well-placed kiss, a lingering touch, a silence shared without needing to fill it. These are no longer romantic extras. They are the language of survival, of connection, of truth. Philosopher Simone Weil once said, "Attention is the rarest and purest form of generosity." And perhaps that's what this is really about, learning to pay attention again. Not just to what your partner says, but to what he no longer knows how to ask for.
So, if something in this spoke to you, don't let it fade. Reflect on it. Act on it. Share it. Because someone out there, maybe the man beside you, or maybe the one inside you, is still waiting to be reached in this quiet, human way. And if this kind of wisdom feels like something your life has earned the right to hear, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and leave your thought in comment below. You never know who might need your words today. Until next time, stay present, stay tender, and never forget that the smallest kiss, offered with care, can echo longer than a lifetime. I'm Vernon. Thanks for watching my video.